Lots of Chanel on the channel lately. Chanel channel? Does that rhyme? Almost? I've been speaking a lot about Le Lion, recently launched in the Les Exclusifs collection of Chanel fragrances. So I've done a first impressions unboxing video. If you haven't caught that, please do. And then I also did a full review of this. Then I also offered up 5 additional options or alternatives to this fragrance. So there are 2 videos for this on the channel currently. And I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and do a top 10 video on the Chanel Les Exclusifs collection of fragrances. So today I've got my top 10, but we're throwing in 1 additional fragrance as an honorable mention. So total of 11 Les Exclusifs fragrances from Chanel, ranked, coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Today I'm talking about Chanel Les Exclusifs fragrances, and I'm a fan of this collection. In fact, out of all the private or whatever, exclusive or whatever collections that the designers have, I find Chanel's collection, exclusive collection, to be the most classically inspired. So if you like the idea of classic elegance from designers, this is a great collection, I think. There are lots of feminine leaning fragrances, and there are some masculine leaning fragrances, but in general I would call these pretty unisex, and I'm going to tell you how feminine or masculine they are, and as I'm telling you what they are. So I'll get to the fragrances. But before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So the year's almost coming to an end. I've got some great videos planned, lots of giveaways also. But today I thought, you know what, let's do this ranking video since I have been talking a lot about Le Lion from Chanel, which just launched. And also I've got 11 total Les Exclusifs fragrances. I don't have every single one of them. So you're probably going to not see one of your favorites. You're going to say, how dare you forget that fragrance? And I'm like, you know what, it's not my favorite. I mean, things are subjective. Just because you like a fragrance, I might not like it. But you know, I've got some of the most popular ones here, and we're going to go ahead and start off right off the bat. Honorable mention, number 11. No, this is not the right one. Here. This one, Rue Cambon. So Rue Cambon, or it's 31 Rue Cambon. 31 Rue Cambon is named after the address of the Chanel boutique in Paris. The original, I believe, is the original boutique. It's right off the Rue Saint-Honoré. And in fact, if you ever visit, it's right across the street from By Kilian, Tom Ford, Memo Paris, Parfums de Marly. So it's the place to be for perfume. But this is a fragrance that was launched quite a bit ago. It's considered a woody Chypre, and it focuses on iris, black pepper, patchouli, and Ylang-Ylang. So I've got this one here. For me, it's not a very sweet fragrance. There's not a lot of sweet touches. It's very savory, I should say. It's a savory offering because black pepper, hello, sweet and savory. No, it's not. There's some sweetness there. I think there's some floral sweetness in here, but it's mostly a very woody, savory style fragrance. It's a Chypre after all, and it definitely acts like a Chypre. This is a very, very classically leaning fragrance. It smells classic. It smells vintage, but all the fragrances I have today are the eau de parfum concentrations of the fragrances. I know they used to be eau de toilette. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Chanel decided to make them all eau de parfum because they are in these bottles now, and so they gave us these particular offerings. I know a lot of purists were really upset that they changed the formulas a little bit. Some got better, some got really bad, according to some people. But I have these fragrances. I've been wearing and I'm enjoying it. This one is number 11 because I bought this one to share with someone. They wanted half a bottle. I like it. It's not my favorite. It's very savory, as I said. It smells very classic, vintage, also slightly feminine leaning. So in the end, it's number 11. It's Rue Cambon, or 31 Rue Cambon. You might like fragrances like that. I think the black pepper is pretty prominent in that fragrance, so it's a great fragrance for people that love black pepper. Now this next one is a much better fragrance for me. That's why it's number 10. But you know, the collection gets better and better because I've ranked it in a way that I enjoy the number 1 the most. But number 22, it's this one right here. So number 22 is a floral aldehydic fragrance and a very vintage smelling or classic smelling fragrance, definitely feminine leaning. It's an aldehydic floral, and the aldehyde thing comes up a lot in fragrances for Chanel. Even if they don't mention that there's aldehydes, I get an aldehydic touch. It's almost like a Chanel signature, Chanel DNA. Either way, this one's known for tuberose, rose or roses, orange blossom, powdery notes, aldehydic notes. Very, very classic. It reminds me of my grandmother. That's not a bad thing though, you know? It's not really a bad thing. My grandmother wore some Chanels and some Guerlains, and so it reminds me of those fragrances as a kid. Not necessarily like, I know which fragrance she wore, but it just reminds me of those kind of smells, and I kind of like that about this one. You'll like it if you like aldehydic fragrances, floral fragrances, and classic vintagey fragrances. This one's definitely feminine leaning, but really, really beautiful. It's also very powdery. So that's number 22. This next one is for the lavender lover. It's Jersey. This one right here. So Jersey is considered an aromatic woody fragrance, but it's a nice, beautiful meshing of lavender with bourbon vanilla. So you know the fragrance Carum Pour Annum de Carum. It's not like that because once again, when you smell it, there is that underlying Chanel DNA in here. You can smell it, like it's there. Not as prominent in Jersey as it is in number 22, but it's certainly there, and you can tell that it's a Chanel fragrance. But this one's chock full of vanilla, and it's nicely blended with the lavender, of course, because it's a lavender vanilla bomb for me. There's also some white musk thrown in, and it makes for a great aromatic woody fragrance. Of course, there are some woody touches in here as well, but overall it's mostly known for the vanilla and the lavender. So if you like those notes, you might want to check this one out. So that's Jersey from the House of Chanel and their Les Exclusifs collection. So this next fragrance is known for sandalwood, and it's a sandalwood fragrance. It's woody oriental pretty much. It's called Bois de Iles. So woody oriental, lots of sandalwood, lots of Ylang-Ylang, Tonka beans. So it has lots of oriental touches. There's some vanillic touches in there as well. But for me, those are pretty much the standout notes. The sandalwood, of course, it's a sandalwood fragrance. And for me, this sandalwood is a fusion of crunchy, dry sandalwood with creamy undertones. So for me, it's not a smooth and creamy fragrance. It's more of a crisp woods rather than creamy woods. So there is that distinction between sandalwood. I love sandalwood fragrances, but I like them more creamy, smooth, almost milky, buttery. You know, this one doesn't act like that too much. A little it does. That's why I say it's a fusion of those two styles, the crispy, crunchy versus the creamy, buttery, milky. But one more thing with this one, you can smell it's a Chanel. It smells like Chanel fragrances, you know? That's one thing I like about Chanel. The DNA runs throughout the fragrances, especially in the older fragrances. The new ones are not so much, but definitely runs throughout it. If you like a Chanel style of sandalwood, then definitely check out Bois de Iles from the Les Exclusifs collection. Once again, we're going to have a very, very Chanel DNA fragrance, and it's their leather fragrance. It's CUIR de RUSSIE, this one right here. I've got just a little bit left. Just a little bit. So this one is an animalic leather. It smells also of smoky char style, and I think it's because it's got lots of birch wood. Birch wood has a very smoky, burned kind of a smell, and it's definitely prominent here. Now it's a leather. It's what it's considered as leather notes: musk, birch, birchwood, tobacco, jasmine, and leather. And once again, it's not necessarily smooth and buttery. I feel like it can get smooth and buttery when you're wearing it, when you're, with your chemistry, once it blends in and you can, smell your hands and things like that. But out of the bottle, it's a lot more crisp and crunchy rather than like the smooth and butteriness of this leather. Because I like leather fragrances that are like almost like suede leather. This is definitely not too much suede-like. It's more of a really dry kind of just a really animalic leather, not softness at all. And I like my soft fragrances, obviously, the buttery and smooth suede-like leathers. But you know what? This one's definitely great. It has animalic touches. It's smoky, it's woody, it's dark, and it's sexy as well. You know, it's got a dark side. Anyway, CUIR de RUSSIE from the House of Chanel Les Exclusifs collection. So have you seen your favorite fragrance yet from this collection? Have I spoken about it yet? We are at number 6. This is Bois. Now this one is definitely created by Olivier Polge, the son of Jacques Polge, the perfumer. So this one is considered an aromatic fougere, and it focuses on lavender, geranium, and woodsy notes. There is a vanillic touch under there. I can smell the vanilla, but it's not as prominent as it is in Jersey, where it's blended with the lavender. There's no geranium here. So it's a barbershop-y fougere, but very unisex, so it's kind of a gender-bending fragrance. I've heard men say it's too feminine. I've heard women say it's too masculine. I think it's a unisex fragrance, and you know, generally women don't like fougères. They don't really like to wear fougères, but they've done this in a way that it's kind of like really on the unisex side. So both men and women should you know, enjoy this kind of a fragrance, and I like it. I like it a lot. You can definitely pick up the soapy aldehydic kind of Chanel DNA under there. This one definitely has it, even though it's created by Olivier Polge, and I like that about it. You can smell the DNA, you can have the recognizability of the Chanel fragrances. Anyway, I can smell them. I don't know if you guys can, if you've ever noticed this with these fragrances, but there's definitely something there that reminds me of the DNA of Chanel, and it's definitely prominent here. But a great fragrance. You know, this one's a toss-up with the next one at number 5. I didn't know where to put it, but I put it here. So in the end, it's Bois from the House of Chanel from the Les Exclusifs collection. Next up, it's Sycamore. So Sycamore and Bois are kind of tied. And Bois is more of a, for me, it's a definitely gender bending, as I said. CUIR de RUSSIE, I think it's more feminine. I think every fragrance I've spoken about since Bois were more on the feminine leaning side. Now Sycamore for me is definitely on the masculine side. It's definitely a masculine fragrance, but I know women that love this fragrance. I know a woman that loves Vetiver, and she is obsessed with this fragrance. So it's a matter of taste. You know, these I think all should be labeled unisex. If you like it, wear it, kind of thing. But this one's definitely on the woody side. It's a very dark vetiver, smoky vetiver with cedar vanilla. But in there are some very light aldehydic touches, very light. This one is not so obvious, and I don't think this was created by Olivier Polge. I think it's created by Jacques Polge. But a great vetiver, a wonderful vetiver. It's a beautiful vetiver. I really do enjoy wearing this one. I like to wear it when it's wet and slightly humid outside, when it's raining. Vetiver in that kind of a weather and wet and humid, slight humidity is perfect, because I feel like it just opens up the vetiver fragrance, and this one does come alive in that kind of temperature or weather experience. But a beautiful fragrance, one of the best from Chanel, although it's slipped down. It used to be my number 1 or 2 before Bois came out and some of the other ones. Now it's here, but still definitely a great fragrance. Sycamore, if you don't know it, do check it out. A great fragrance from the House of Chanel. The next one is a fragrance I discovered that I hadn't discovered, and I'm obsessed with it because it's got Ambrette seeds. Now I've been talking a lot about Ambrette seeds the last couple of days. This one definitely focuses on that note. It's musky. So this one is, I guess it's a floral woody musk fragrance, or musky, fruity musky, all those things. This is number 18, and it's got lots of fruity notes, slightly boozy, slightly medicinal, slightly woody, and sandalwoody, I think, and of course the Ambrette seeds. Now Ambrette seeds I did a whole video on, and this was featured in the video. If you like this note, you should definitely check out fragrances featuring this note, and this is definitely focusing on it. This one also reminds me of Dior's Santal Noir. So that features the Ambrette seed note, which is also here. Now, this will also remind you a little bit of Egoiste. Egoiste was done by, I think it was Jacques Polge with François Demachy before he became perfumer for Dior, and I feel like he's copying his work from what he worked on at Dior. I don't know, I'm just saying this, but he did a fragrance that smells sort of like this, an Egoiste called Santal Noir. So there's something there, right? I like Santal Noir for the Ambrette seeds, and I love it here as well. It's very medicinal, it's very fruity, it's slightly boozy, and I love that. It's musky. It's a great, great note. Look for fragrances that feature this note. Of course, go catch my video on Ambrette seeds and find out more fragrances that feature this note. And I love it. It's a great, great note. And it's definitely the star here in this fragrance. Number 18 by Chanel. Check it out if you don't know it. I absolutely love it. Now, this is the fragrance I featured in my powdery fragrances video over the weekend. This is number 1957. Of course, I could have put this one. This is definitely more on the feminine side. This one I felt like is more unisex, so this one definitely was featured in that video. I love this one. It's very, very fresh and powdery fragrance. It's aromatic, it's floral, fresh and powdery, lots of floral touches. Bergamot, there's iris, which is what creates the powdery touches. There's powdery notes, and there's some honey in here. And I love the sweetness added to these flowers and beautiful, you know, aromatic notes and everything. Really, really gorgeous fragrance. It's fresh and refreshing. A powdery fragrance you can wear in the summertime. You can wear it all year round, but I feel like this is definitely something that's perfect for wearing it when it's not as cold outside, you know, it's warmer outside. It's definitely aldehydic. It's also definitely a very, very powdery experience for a fragrance. Love this fragrance, and it's become my number 3 favorite from this house. Things have moved around because obviously Chanel has launched new fragrances, and obviously that's why it's at number 3. So my number 1 and number 2, you probably know if you watched my videos recently, but number 2 is a Le Lion, the new one that just came out. It's an Oriental fragrance, and this one's definitely on the unisex side. Definitely is unisex, but I've heard from men say, oh, it's definitely feminine, yada yada. So you've got to decide, test it out if you like it, and of course wear it if you like it. But for me, this is an Oriental amber type of fragrance, lots of bergamot, lemon at the top, and then resinous touches in the heart, and of course patchouli, sandalwood in the base. Now for me, out of the bottle, it reminds me of a little bit of Guerlain's Shalimar, but it doesn't stop there. You know, when I'm wearing it, it hints at it a little bit and it disappears after a while. That's what I like about this. So it starts very lemony, it becomes very resinous and ambery, then dries down to kind of a patchouli-esque leather, smoky fragrance, animalic. Wonderful fragrance. I really love it. I'm obsessed with it. I just want to wear it all the time, you know? One of the better fragrances of this year. Thankfully it's launched and it's here before. Originally I was told it was coming out next year in January, but it's made it here in December. But if you haven't checked it out, check this out. Of course, watch my review and my first impressions video on Le Lion. Now, in that first impressions video, I said it reminded me of Coromandel, which is at number 1. This is at number 1 still. It's patchouli. I mean, I love it. It's so beautiful. It's just a very, very sparkly and effervescent patchouli. Really, really gorgeous stuff, and I love wearing it. This might lean a little feminine. I think Chanel in general is leaning slightly feminine, but this patchouli is amazing. Now, it's considered an Oriental fragrance. The star notes are patchouli, frankincense, and benzoin, and I love that about this fragrance. So the benzoin and the patchouli have a very kind of a creamy connection together. Of course, benzoin is vanillic note. It's a resin with vanillic touches. It also complements the frankincense because it's also a resin. It adds a smoky layer to the fragrance. But an overall very, very gorgeous fragrance to wear. I just love it. I can wear this every time of the year, summertime, wintertime, springtime, fall time. It is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful patchouli. I think it's just because I'm obsessed with patchouli and I love wearing patchouli. It's just, patchouli trails are some of the most amazing trails, you know. I just love that trail. I love smelling it off of me, and I love smelling it off of you if you are wearing patchouli. Anyway, that's why this is at number 1. It's just definitely a number 1 kind of a fragrance. That is Coromandel at number 1. And that's the list for you guys today. Those are my top 10 favorite Chanel Les Exclusifs fragrances. Now, if you were ranking these fragrances, how would you rank them? Also, what fragrances are your favorites? And then also, let me know if there's anything missing. I know there's a ton of fragrances in this Les Exclusifs collection. What's missing? Why do you like it? Let me know. Put a comment down. One of the fragrances I think I do want to pick up is Misia, M-I-S-I-A. I think that's a great fragrance. I don't know if there's anything else I would want to buy. I don't know. Maybe Gardenia sounds really nice. It smells great. Anyway, let me know some other options in the Chanel Les Exclusifs collection. Put a comment down so I can find out. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you liked this video. Stay tuned for more videos, obviously. Please do like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.